This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are facing the prospect of not having LeBron for tonight's home game against Charlotte. Soreness in LeBron's left foot and ankle forced the Lakers to list him as questionable for the team's first game in the second half of the season. The soreness led LeBron to sit out Sunday's NBA All-Star game in San Francisco. The Lakers play at Portland Thursday night. It's unlikely the 40-year-old LeBron will play in back-to-back games. The Lakers are at Denver on Saturday. A positive sign for the Lakers tonight is the increase in minutes for Luka Doncic. Doncic averaged 23.5 minutes in his first two games with the Lakers. Now that Doncic has recovered from a strained calf muscle, Lakers coach J.J. Redick said the minutes restriction on Doncic will be lifted. Look for Doncic to handle the ball a whole lot more if LeBron does not play. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
KBLA Talk 1580 stands with you, neighbor to neighbor, bringing you resources and what you need to know. For information on fire recovery resources, recovery hubs, and available services, call 211 for the City of Los Angeles and 311 county-wide. Aid distribution locations, repopulation updates, and safety rules are constantly changing. Visit the LA City and LA County websites for the latest. If you'd like to sign up for the county's free debris removal, fill out a right of entry form, or get a list of disaster recovery centers that are still active, please visit recovery.lacounty.gov or call the debris hotline at 844-347-3332. If you're vulnerable to mudslides with rain in the forecast, free sandbags are being offered. Go to lacounty.pw/sandbags to find out where to get them. Businesses who have lost their facilities due to the fires can use a regional online source to get free or discounted locations. Whether you're interested in donating or finding space, you can visit the business-to-business Space Share portal at spaceshare.lacounty.gov. Additional LA County small business support and programs can be found at opportunity.lacounty.gov. Praying, advocating, and standing with you. KBLA Talk 1580.
Live from historic Leimert Park in Los Angeles, California, I'm Tavis, Smiley, and I'm so glad to see you and me back in stride again. Before we get started with today's show, let me invite you to follow me on Facebook and Instagram at The Real Tavis Smiley and get updates on X, that's formerly Twitter, at Tavis Smiley. By the way, should you miss any part of today's program or want to catch up on previous shows, you can always visit thetavisSmileyShow.com. That's thetavisSmileyShow.com, or wherever you get your podcast, and listen to the Tavis Smiley podcast version of this live program at your leisure. Another great show on tap for you today. We are going to try to squeeze an 800-pound show into a 600-pound bag. It's one of those days they're going to work me today. In our second hour, two conversations. Up first, a dialogue with Professor Rita Omocha about her new text, Resist. Resist, how a century of young black activists shaped America. On the B side of Hour 2.
To die. To sleep. To dream.
This is a clemency hearing for your conviction, 25 to life. Since you've been in custody, you've been involved in a theater program.
Gentlemen, let's go.
It's been a program that was established to help people get more in touch with their feelings and truly get some rehabilitation.
I am Gladiator Goliath. I am Spartacus.
I'm Prince Hamlet of Denmark.
And it's turned into something of, I don't know, wonderful.
What part do you play?
From time to time I do act, like we all do.
So are you acting at all during this interview?
We here to become human again and enjoy the things that is not in our reality.
I think you guys are becoming real with each other, vulnerable.
Listen, I already know what you're doing, know who you are, what you about, bro.
What?
You don't get to tell me what I need in prison. You don't get to do that. And don't bring me in those dark corners no more.
The world expects brothers like you and I to walk in with our heads held down. Nah, what you gotta walk in like a king. Everything is yours.
I'm divine now.
Yeah.
This is my theater.
Now give him some love, give him some love.
Go to your most perfect spot. Do you hear anything? Are you with somebody? Are you outside? Hold that feeling.
You gotta admit that I murdered that Hamlet scene, bro. Shakespeare is in his grave right now. He rolled over.
You did your thing, beloved.
Shakespeare is turned over in his grave. It's the real-life person behind Coleman Domingo's amazing Oscar-nominated performance in the film Sing Sing, John Divine G. Whitfield, on his work and witness fighting to free those wrongfully convicted. Should be a great conversation on the B-side of Hour 2 with John Divine G. Whitfield. In our third hour, two more conversations. Up first, author and retired Judge LaDoris Cordell on Judge Tanya Chutkan's ruling denying the bid of states to curtail Elon Musk powers and overreach. And then on the B-side of Hour 3.
This is an open letter from you and me together. Tomorrow's in our hands now. Find the words that matter and say them out loud and make it better somehow. Looking down from up on the moon, it's a tiny blue marble. Who'd have known the ground we stand on could be so fragile? This is a love song to the earth.
It's actress and singer Antonique Smith on her Grammy-nominated rendition of the climate action anthem Love Song to the Earth. Pretty amazing song here. The lyrics are beyond moving, and Antonique Smith joins us on the B-side of Hour 3 to talk about, again, her rendition of this climate action anthem, Love Song to the Earth. But in this first hour, I ain't done yet. Two more conversations on the B-side of this hour. What happens when democracy so badly fails to deliver the goods that the citizenry freely chooses dictatorship? It's the provocative new piece from the co-founder and co-editor of the American Prospect, Brandeis professor Robert Kuttner. We would talk to him about this piece on the backside of this hour. But when we come forward, we commence today's show in dialogue with professor, founder, and CEO of Black Insights Research, Christian Sebastian Parker, who will unpack his fourth and final post-election Black Voter Project study. As I mentioned, trying to squeeze an 800-pound show into a 600-pound bag. Jesus help me. I'm Tavis Smiley. Today, by the way, is the 85th birthday of one William Smokey Robinson Jr. And so all 3 hours of our show today, we're going to squeeze in some of the best to Smokey Robinson. Smokey, we love you. Happy 85th birthday to Smokey Robinson.
From Lamert Park with love, this is Tavis Smiley.
This is an ad by BetterHelp Online Therapy. When it comes to relationships, we often hear about the red flags we should avoid, but it's just as important to focus on the green flags. Think about how you want a relationship to feel, one where your boundaries are respected and you're encouraged to be your best self. If you're not sure what that looks like, therapy can help you identify those qualities so you can embody the green flag energy yourself and find it in others. Because whether you're dating, married, or building a friendship, it's time to form relationships that love you back. BetterHelp connects you to a diverse network of over 30,000 therapists worldwide with expertise in a wide range of issues, from depression and anxiety to work and relationships. It's 100% online and sign up only takes a few minutes. Find your green flag energy with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/ABC Radio today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/ABC Radio.
Make a move into a home of your own. With City National Bank's Ladder Up Home Loan Grant, you could receive up to $20,000 that you never need to pay back. Use it toward your down payment, save on closing costs, or to buy down your mortgage rate. Find out more at cnb.com/ladderuphome. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Property must be in a qualifying market in California, New York, or New Jersey. Additional terms and conditions apply. Not all applicants will qualify. Terms are subject to change without notice. City National Bank is an equal housing lender. Member FDIC. NMLS number 536994.
It's KBLA Talk 1580's third annual Black History Month luncheon, and you're invited. This is year 2 of our climate justice work, and this year's $2 million 12-month campaign is all about linking and combating the relationship between climate and Black health. We already know that these wildfires will leave in their wake even greater inequities, including negative impacts on Black health, given the toxic air pollutants circulating in the air we breathe. So, as part of this year's climate campaign, we're honoring Black doctors and leaders in healthcare at our annual Black History Month luncheon, Friday, February 28th at noon. If you would like to join us, just go to our KBLA 1580 website and register for your chance to be our guest at the luncheon. We'd love to see you. And in case you haven't heard the news, KBLA Talk 1580 was just named one of the semifinalists for the American Climate Leadership Awards 2025. Caring about the climate, caring about the community, changing the conversation. We're KBLA Talk 1580, and we don't black down. More honesty than you can handle. More empowerment than you can imagine. You're tuned in to Tavis Smiley.
It is the 85th natal day of William Smokey Robinson Jr., and so we are celebrating Smokey's birthday today. All 3 hours of this program. So many hits, so little time. But the legendary Smokey Robinson is still doing it. Just on this program not too long ago, announcing his residency in April in Las Vegas. He's still doing it and still looking good. So happy birthday, Smokes. Again, we'll celebrate that birthday all 3 hours and squeeze in as much music as we can. But let's get this party started with Christopher Sebastian Parker, professor and founder and CEO of Black Insights Research. We have been with Christopher Sebastian Parker all throughout this most recent campaign. There have been any number of studies he's done, and his work is uniquely different than most pollsters. He'll explain why and how he does his polling different, but he has been the preeminent pollster tracking Black thought throughout this campaign season, and we wanted to have him back on one more again, as they say, to talk about his fourth and final post-election Black voter project longitudinal study. Professor Parker, good to have you back, sir. How are you today?
Good to be back, Tavis. Thank you for having me.
It's good to have you on. I want to make the most of the time that we have left here. So before we get to this last study, just frame for me what you did throughout this entire campaign, the various studies that you did. Just work me up to this final study here, and then we'll get into the details of it.
Sure, no problem. So my partner and I, what we did was we went into the field rather, in April with the intention of tracking Black voters nationally all the way through December. And so what we did was we contacted them initially in April, and then we recontacted them 3 additional times, with the last time a couple months ago in December, just to get an idea of what Black folks were thinking after their election. So to your point, this is unique in that sense because there are precious few longitudinal studies where Black folks are tracked throughout time. And so this is very unique in that way. And then beyond that, it's unique in a sense that we had no idea, like almost like anyone else, that the vice president would ascend to the top of the ticket. And so it was very unique in that sense as well.
Again, a couple more broad questions, then we'll get inside the data from this final study here. To your point, and I was about to go there anyway, so you are prescient and prophetic, not just a brilliant pollster. But when you started doing this back in April, Kamala Harris was not the nominee. Broadly speaking, what did you see over these various studies regarding Black people's attitudes when we went from Biden to Harris?
Oh, as one might anticipate, the enthusiasm for the Democratic Party, and especially for the Democrat standard bearer, increased dramatically. And I know you're going to ask this, so forgive me if I don't get this right, but a lot of people have been talking about Black men and how they didn't turn out for the vice president. Well, actually, they started off kind of low. But then their enthusiasm for her increased in the following ways. So in the first wave, when we asked about Black voters' attitudes towards Harris by Black men, the support was in the 30s, like 35%. But when she rose to the top of the ticket, it increased to 42%, then to 52%, and then eventually got to 82%.
And what does that tell you about the way that Black men processed or perceived her prior to becoming the nominee and the way their attitudes changed once she, in fact, was the nominee?
Well, it suggests that, they didn't really have, and this is during focus groups as well, that we did as well, Tavis, that Black people just thought that she was essentially a token for the then President Biden. And then once she made the leap from vice president to president on the ticket, then people's estimation rose dramatically, right? Because they thought that, okay, maybe she's the real thing. And maybe this is someone I can get behind. And it just seemed as though prior to that, Tavis, that she was used as a prop for President Biden to get elected the first time.
This may be an impossible question, but let me just ask it anyway. If it's impossible, we'll keep moving because, trust me, I got more questions and you have more answers. In retrospect, and that's the key phrase here, in retrospect, what would you say comparatively about the enthusiasm writ large in the Black community for Kamala Harris versus the enthusiasm for Barack Obama? Clearly, Obama won, not once but twice. Kamala Harris didn't. She had a short runway. We're in the Trump era. I get all that. But just broadly speaking, is there anything you can say at all about the Black community's enthusiasm for Harris this time around versus Obama back in the day?
Yes, for sure. That's a really great question. I have one word, 3 syllables: misogyny.
Wow.
Obama didn't have to deal with misogyny, whereas the vice president did have to deal with misogyny.
You think we can put that much on it? I'm not saying we can. I'm just asking. You think we can put that much on the misogyny piece?
Yes, we can. The issue is, though, so the main difference, once again, is that Obama didn't have to deal with it. And she did. And that had an effect on turnout. It wasn't a huge effect, but it had an effect, especially among what we call low propensity Black voters.
Yeah. Another impossible question. We'll get right inside the data from this final study. One of the reasons why I voted for Barack Obama, the primary reason, I've said this many times, the primary reason is because I thought, and let me just back up, I knew Barack Obama long before most of y'all knew him. He had been involved in my foundation long before he became a nationally prominent elected. I knew him. We were friends, and he worked again with me in my foundation. So, because I had some access to him, because I'd spent some time with him, I had a sense of who he was and who he wasn't. And none of us is perfect. None of us is human and divine. We're just human. So I saw his strong points, but I also saw the things about him that concerned me. With all that said, I voted for Barack Obama for one primary reason. I hoped that his election as the first African-American president would open the door to progressive possibilities, even if I didn't think he was as progressive as I wanted him to be. I understand that you start with Jackie Robinson, then you work your way up to Willie Mays, right? So I supported him because I hoped that his election would, again, open up the door for progressive possibilities. All these years later, I'm still wrestling with whether or not that actually happened. To my mind, it didn't. I don't have the time to unpack that right now. I don't see the ways in which his election opened up any true progressive possibilities. And Barack Obama, unlike Jesse Jackson years prior, didn't have any black coattails. You cannot point to a bunch of black folk all across this country who got elected because of Barack Obama's ascension, like you can with Jesse Jackson in 84 and 88, and Jesse didn't even win, but his black coattails are undeniable. Why am I raising that? Because I'm curious as to whether or not the data that you see about Kamala Harris suggests, in retrospect, here again, that Barack Obama was an anomaly, or does the data suggest that black people writ large, and for that matter even beyond black folk, are prepared somewhere down the road, although not with Kamala this time around, to elect another African American? That's a mouthful, but I think you take my point.
Yeah, I certainly hear you on that, and I'm in largely agreement with you when it comes to, not much in a progressive nature came from Obama's campaign or his presidency. I would definitely agree with you on that. Now, as it pertains to the vice president, I think that, yeah, it's definitely possible, and let me tell you why.
Okay.
So we conducted what's called a conjoined experiment when we asked folks, what are the top attributes you want to see in the next Democratic presidential candidate? 28% of the black community thought that race was the most important factor, followed by political experience, followed by someone who is highly educated, followed by someone who is relatively younger in age. This experiment suggests that if we get a candidate that fits this rough profile, that we'll get black folks to turn out again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's hard to argue Barack Obama's profile. You can't do better than his profile, the intellectual pedigree he brought to the table. It's hard to argue that. And it's also hard to repeat that. Although there are a lot of black folk who have the same kind of credentials, you got to catch lightning in a bottle. And Barack Obama did that. And I ain't never mad at him, trust and believe. I just am concerned even today about whether or not that historic moment opened up progressive possibilities for any of the rest of us. I digress on that. Okay, in the time that we have left, let me go straight inside your study. It's your study. I'm going to stand down and shut up and let you tell me what this final and fourth and final post-election Black Voter Project study reveals. Take it away, Christopher and Sebastian Parker.
Thank you. So one of the things I'd like to highlight is that this was a election when it comes to turnout, not so much vote share, because she got essentially the same vote share among the black community, at least, that Biden did in 2020, and Trump got essentially the same vote share. It was about turnout. And if we think about, where turnout dipped versus 2020, I mean, it dipped pretty much everywhere. And what I mean by that is, so if we think about the swing states of Pennsylvania and Wisconsin and North Carolina, so if we think about Pennsylvania first, the state turnout was up by 2%, but black turnout was down by 4%, right, in Philadelphia. If we think about North Carolina, Charlotte, right, the state turnout was up 3 percentage points, right, but in Charlotte, North Carolina, it was down 7 percentage points. And when we look at Milwaukee, Wisconsin, turnout was up in the state overall 4%, but it was down for black folks by 0.4%. So again, this is really a story about turnout and not so much vote share. And one final thing I want to leave the audience with, and this does not bode well for the Democratic Party, when it comes to engagement looking forward. A second Trump presidency will motivate me to become more committed to politics. Only 23% of black folks agreed with that statement. But 43% of black folks said a second Trump presidency will prove exhausting, and I just want to be left alone.
Ooh.
You have a strong plurality.
Yeah, of all the data points you just shared, to your point, that is the scariest. That sounds to me like even black folk right now have political fatigue.
Oh, wait. There's one more point I want to add. Now, if you look at the distribution, Tavis, by gender, 51% of black women believe that to be the case or feel that versus 34% of black men. So when we get black women jumping off the ship, we got real problems.
You know, that data point, again, does not surprise me. I think black women are so tired of being put upon, being disenfranchised. They have saved this Democratic Party more times than I can count. As we all know, they saved Joe Biden's campaign in South Carolina and beyond. Had it not been for black women, he would not have been president. So it's distressing to hear that black women, to some degree, are sort of checked out at the moment. And yet I understand it. I certainly get the frame. I guess the question is whether or not you think those data points can be turned depending on how much damage Donald Trump does. You may be fatigued today, but when he starts coming for you, first he comes for everybody else, right? He's going to come for Latinos. He's going to come for them. He's going to come for them. Then he's going to come for us. And he's already started to do that with this attack on DE&I. I think it's possible that, let me put it this way. I've always believed that people wake up Christopher and Sebastian Parker for one of two reasons, either because they see the light or they feel the heat. We may not see the light about how our sitting on the sidelines and being spectators is problematic, but at some point we going to feel the heat, and maybe that then will turn those numbers even for black women. What say you?
I'm very skeptical about that.
Wow.
So let me tell you why.
Okay.
I'm very skeptical because think about it like this. So you had a black woman, right, running against this idiot, right, and we still lost, right? Just imagine how hard that hit black women. They were rejected in the most public way.
Yeah, no, I hear you. That data point, again, I'm going to have nightmares about that tonight. Maybe I shouldn't have invited you on the program today because I don't need to hear that. I don't need to hear that, man. That data point is beyond scary. But let me offer this as the exit question. On top of that, again, frightening data point, this frightens me. That I think the narrative has settled in, and I find myself correcting guests on this program, even progressives who buy into this thing, this notion. But Kamala did not take a shellacking. If 150,000 votes in 3 different swing states had gone the other way, we would have inaugurated Kamala Harris as president, not Donald Trump. 150,000 votes. That research has been done. It was detailed in The Nation magazine and, for that matter, beyond. But this narrative has taken hold that she got her butt whipped. Not, in fact, that the race was one of the closest ever. 150,000 votes again in 3 swing states could have pushed it the other way. What is the danger for black people, for black women, for all of us, for that narrative settling in that the black woman got her butt whooped?
Oh, it's a real problem for the reasons I just elucidated, right? It's this idea that this guy got a mandate, quote, I'm air quoting here, got a mandate, achieved a mandate on beating a black woman.
Yeah.
Right? Like so that narrative is already out there. And I don't know what you can do, to put that horse back in the barn. I think it's going to be really, really difficult.
Yeah.
And that the Democratic Party didn't do much to really help her. They saddled her from the very beginning.
Yeah. No, it's one of those things that settled in large part because we live in an era of visuals. We want to see visuals. And you can come at your data points after the fact. But on election night and the day after, everybody saw all that red on those maps. It's the visual part, right? We saw so much red on that map and so little blue. That's why I believe that narrative is taking hold, because we are a visual people, and it is what it is. Professor, founder, and CEO of Black Insights Research, Christopher and Sebastian Parker, thank you for being with us all throughout this campaign and post-campaign, giving us the data specifically related to black people. I appreciate you for it, sir, and I'll talk to you soon.
You're very welcome. Thank you.
Thank you for your time. More Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
Helping to stretch your moral and political imagination. This is Tavis Smiley.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A family plans to sue the FAA and Army after a deadly D.C. plane crash killed 67 people, including aviation specialist Casey Crafton. They allege willful neglect and have taken preliminary legal action. More Americans are increasing their emergency savings, with nearly a third having more funds than a year ago, according to a recent Bankrate survey. Over half have more savings than credit card debt, reflecting progress as inflation slows. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy is stepping down. Appointed in 2020, DeJoy faced bipartisan criticism but expressed pride in the USPS's work despite challenges from legislative and regulatory issues. And the NBA regular season resumes today with the Lakers hosting the Hornets. The Thunder and Cavaliers lead their conferences while the Celtics and Nuggets are second and third in their respective conferences. Get BIN News on demand 24/7 on the iHeartRadio app.
If you or someone you know is affected by the Los Angeles wildfires, you are not alone. No matter how sad, scared, or heartbroken you feel, Cal Hope is here for you and all those affected by the devastating wildfires. Find free, safe, and confidential mental health support at calhope.org.
This is the KBLA Sports Minute with Ray Richardson.
The Lakers are facing the prospect of not having LeBron for tonight's home game against Charlotte. Soreness in LeBron's left foot and ankle forced the Lakers to list him as questionable for the team's first game in the second half of the season. The soreness led LeBron to sit out Sunday's NBA All-Star game in San Francisco. The Lakers play at Portland Thursday night. It's unlikely the 40-year-old LeBron will play in back-to-back games. The Lakers are at Denver on Saturday. A positive sign for the Lakers tonight is the increase in minutes for Luka Doncic. Doncic averaged 23.5 minutes in his first two games with the Lakers. Now that Doncic has recovered from a strained calf muscle, Lakers coach J.J. Redick said the minutes restriction on Doncic will be lifted. Look for Doncic to handle the ball a whole lot more if LeBron does not play. No debates, no speculation, just the info you need. That's your KBLA Sports Minute. I'm Ray Richardson. More news, opinions, and conversation when we come forward on KBLA Talk 1580.
I have a dream today.
The road to freedom wasn't paved with just big moments. It was built day to day, step by step, voice by voice. This February, experience Black History Month through the stories that shape Los Angeles and beyond. KBLA Talk 1580, where Black history lives. KBLA Talk 1580. Talk radio. That's music to your ears. We're unapologetically progressive. KBLA Talk 1580.
Paid for by government.com. Did you know? The United States Mint has issued a new Morgan silver dollar coin in proof condition for the first time. Not only that, they are also minted in 99.9% pure silver for the first time ever in history. Coin experts are calling this an amazing opportunity for anyone that knows the enduring popularity of Morgans. But you must hurry. Only 400,000 of these legal tender silver dollars were issued. These first ever Morgan silver dollars are brand new with stunning mirror-like finish. Minted by the iconic San Francisco Mint. Call now and you're guaranteed a new first ever 99.9% pure silver proof Morgan dollar. To learn more, call 1-800-973-9717. If you order now, you will receive a free coin collector bonus pack, a $25 value, free with every order. Call 1-800-973-9717 now to secure your new Morgan silver dollars before they are gone. That's 1-800-973-9717.
If you're living with dry age-related macular degeneration or dry AMD, you may be at risk for developing geographic atrophy or GA. GA can be unpredictable and progress rapidly, leading to irreversible vision loss. Now there's something you can do to
slow it down and get it going slower.
Izervay is proven to slow GA progression.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Izervay or avacincaptad pagel is a prescription eye injection used to treat GA. Don't take it if you have an infection or active swelling in or around your eye. Izervay can cause eye infection, retinal detachment, or increased risk of wet AMD. Izervay may temporarily increase eye pressure. Your vision may be impaired after an eye injection or exam. Don't delay. Ask your doctor about Izervay today.
Izervay gets GA going slower.
Visit Izervay.com. That's IZERVAY.com.
Helping to make you the most knowledgeable person in your circle of friends. This is Tavis Smiley.
I did you wrong. My heart went out to
are celebrating the 85th birthday of William Smokey Robinson Jr. Happy birthday, Smokey. All 3 hours of our program today, squeezing in just a little taste, some of the best of Smokey Robinson. I mentioned earlier that Smokey is still doing it as only Smokey can. Just announced his residency commencing again in April, as I recall, in Las Vegas. So I am mad at 85-year-old Smokey Robinson. Earlier this week, we celebrated the 80th birthday of Les Brown, and tomorrow we will be in conversation with a couple of people on what would have been the 85th birthday of John Lewis. That's on tomorrow's program. But now I'm pleased to welcome to this program our friend and brother Robert Kuttner, the co-founder and co-editor of the American Prospect. Here's the question. What happens when democracy so badly fails to deliver the goods that the citizenry freely chooses dictatorship? That is the name, the title, if you will. The focus of the new piece from Brandeis professor and, again, co-founder and co-editor of the American Prospect, Robert Kuttner, who I'm delighted to have back on this program. Let me just read a piece for you from this piece that got my attention and made me want to have Robert Kuttner back on this program. Listen to this. Ultimately, quoting now from his piece, ultimately the founders knew that the ultimate safeguard was the hearts of the people. Lincoln also understood that. Public sentiment is everything, Lincoln said in 1858. Let me repeat that. Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. One more again. That's Lincoln. Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed, close quote. And then Robert Kuttner writes, today we are losing public sentiment for the rule of law. Robert Kuttner, good to have you back on this program. How are you, sir?
Well, after hearing you quote me, not so good, but other than that, not too bad. doing what I can.
Yeah. But it is a powerful quote from you. But just unpack. I want to make the most of the time that we have, the few minutes that we have. Unpack that Lincoln statement, that Lincoln quote to me as you hear it, as you read it.
Well, of course, Lincoln, and the context of that was the Lincoln-Douglas debate. So Lincoln is calling for an end to slavery. Mm-hmm. And he was pointing out that you had to win over public opinion. So now we have the flip side of that. We, progressives, have kind of lost public opinion over the past 30 or 40 years because Democrats have not delivered the goods. And Democrats are supposed to be the party of the common people. And beginning with Carter and Clinton even more so, Democrats became the second party of the plutocracy. They stopped delivering the goods for regular people. And when that happens, if you're a struggling family and you have this kind of theoretical appreciation of the rule of law and the Constitution, but you're trying to put bread on the table, and the system is not making it any easier. Your support, and this is the other point I made in that piece, your support for the rule of law becomes contingent. It becomes instrumental rather than fundamental. Mm-hmm. And if the rule of law isn't delivering for me, hey, maybe I'll give dictatorship a try, right? And that's what the Germans did in 1932, 1933 with Hitler. And that's what American working class voters, including black voters, some of them, including Hispanic voters, contrary to the sort of majority-minority happy story, they supported Trump because the economy wasn't delivering the goods. So I guess the really hard question here is how do you win them back? And it's a two-part process, I think. First of all, Trump has to fail badly. And I think he will fail badly. He's overreaching. He's falling on his face. And then progressives have to demonstrate that our side can deliver the goods better than the Democratic Party has delivered the goods ever since Clinton. And so the column that I have going up in a couple of hours is, well, okay, what can we say to point out how Trump is not delivering the goods? And it saddens me to say that I wish I could point out that he's stealing the Constitution. I wish that I could point out that, it would move regular people to point out that he's breaking up immigrant families, or that Musk is a tyrant. But I think, unfortunately, because the support of regular people is more contingent and more instrumental, we have to be pointing out how Trump is going to screw the people who voted for him.
Mm-hmm.
Right? You fire the people who are protecting the public health. You appoint people who don't know what the hell they're doing to public health agencies. That's going to be bad for your health.
Mm-hmm.
You go after Social Security and Medicaid and Medicare in order to pay for tax cuts for your billionaire cronies. That's going to take something away from you that you value. You run the economy into the ground. That's not going to be good for your job. And so I think we have to make it up close and personal so that people who decided to take a chance on Trump started saying, hey, wait a minute, he's delivering for Elon Musk. Yeah. He's delivering for the other billionaires. But, gee, he's not making my life better. I don't see the price of eggs coming down. He's deporting millions of people, and I don't see that's making my life any better. That's the message that has to come across. And I also am moderately hopeful that the courts are going to slow him down, that even Roberts, when Trump starts talking about, or Vance starts talking about, well, we don't have to obey the courts. At that point, even Roberts says, wait a minute, you do have to obey the courts. So I think those two things taken together, the courts and a message that points out how he is really undercutting the life chances of the very people who put him in office, we can slowly gain back some yardage.
I didn't want to interrupt. I wanted you to lay out your thesis, and I love the sneak peek that Robert Kuttner just gave us to the article he's about to post a few hours from now. Only on Tavis Smiley can you get that sort of insight before the piece even drops. I thank you for that. Let me go back though to the first point of your trifecta, as it were, for how we can win this thing back or pull it back to our side, or put it another way, save this democracy. Your first point was that Trump needs to fail badly. He may very well do that, but I've said a couple of times on this program that what does not inspire me about the Democratic strategies I see it right now, I've called it the 3 W's, Robert: wait, watch, and win. That's what Democrats are doing: waiting, watching, hoping that he's going to fail badly, hoping he'll implode, and that they can win in the midterms. But I don't like that as a strategy: wait, watch, and win, Robert.
I don't either. And I think, something that's out on social media that prompted a column that's going up in a couple of hours, people are saying, hey, let's appoint one spokesperson and have one talking point every day and have a press conference so that the press, instead of writing stories about how screwed up the Democrats are, can say, hey, the Democrats had this to say about Trump, and, maybe there's something to that. What's tricky is that organizing the Democratic Party is like herding cats, right? Mm-hmm. There is no central committee that picks the message or that picks the spokesperson. You've got lots of different factions. And so if you can get to the point where, one Democratic spokesperson every day is out with a press conference with one talking point. Look at what Trump is doing to your livelihood. Mm-hmm. Look at what Trump is doing to your public health. Look at what he's going to do to your Social Security and your Medicaid and your Medicare. Maybe that starts gaining some ground. So the idea that they just have to wait for him to fail, sorry, I'm not there. They have to help him fail.
So when we come forward, I want to just take your suggestion, your idea, and play it forward. Who would that one person be? Hakeem Jeffries? I can see why he'd be the person. I can also see the pushback you'd get if Hakeem Jeffries were that person. Let's talk about that part when we come forward with Robert Kuttner of the American Prospect on Tavis Smiley.
California to the Carolinas. Everybody's listening to Tavis. More when we come forward.
Robinhood Gold members can now enjoy the VIP treatment, receiving a 3% IRA match on annual retirement contributions. With Robinhood Gold, the perks of the high net worth are now available for any net worth. The new gold standard is here with Robinhood Gold. To receive a 3% boost on annual IRA contributions, sign up at Robinhood.com/gold. Investing involves risk. 3% match requires Robinhood Gold $5 a month for 1 year from first match. Must keep funds in IRA for 5 years. Go to Robinhood.com/boost. Robinhood Financial LLC member SIPC. Gold membership is offered by Robinhood Gold LLC.
We asked seniors how to prevent Medicare scams.
My best advice, if you get a phone call, do not talk to the person. These people are well trained. Don't talk to them.
They don't know me. They're just trying to scam me.
Don't be fooled. Hang up. Just hang up.
Never give out your Medicare number.
They're going to get your number to put in a false claim.
If I get a call from someone, I don't pick up the phone, and should I pick up the phone and they ask for information, then I hang up.
How do you detect Medicare fraud?
Just like I check my credit card statements, I check my Medicare statements monthly.
Scammers can get a hold of your number, order medical devices through your account, and you're not even going to know about it if you don't look at your statement. Check your statement every month.
If you get your statement and you see something that you know you did not have done, you report it.
Call your senior Medicare Patrol.
To report Medicare fraud, call the Senior Medicare Patrol at 855-613-7080.
They can do anything they want to us. We might not be back. I might be in jail. I might be anywhere. But when I leave, you can remember I said with the last words on my lips, I am a revolutionary.
On Saturday, February 22nd, you are invited to A Night with the Panthers, a special fundraiser dedicated to supporting Black Panther veterans who now require assistance with essential needs such as medicine, food, and housing. These Black Panther veterans championed human rights, fed the hungry, educated the community, and stood as powerful symbols of resistance and resilience. Despite their incredible sacrifices, loving and serving the people did not come with retirement plans or financial security. So, now it's our time to honor their legacy and ensure that they are cared for with the dignity they deserve. You can help by attending and supporting A Night with the Panthers, Saturday, February 22nd, 6:30 p.m. to 10 p.m. at the Project 43 Team Post Center, 6841 Crenshaw Boulevard, Los Angeles. For more information, contact Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. That's Black Panther Party Breakfast at gmail.com or call 707-554-2784. This is a community call to action from KBLA Talk 1580. At KBLA Talk 1580, we've got your black. May Fresh Daily in the Mert Park, Los Angeles, California. You're listening to Tavis Smiley.
Tavis Smiley and Robert Kuttner. I don't want to get off message, but there is breaking news at this moment. Donald Trump has just called President Zelensky in Ukraine a dictator who took U.S. money to go to war. So this cozy relationship with Vladimir Putin that Donald Trump has had for some time is starting to show its ugly head once again. He is now called the leader of Ukraine, who we've given billions of dollars to in this war, a dictator. I'll put a pin in that for now. I ain't got time to get into it. But you can see where this is headed. You can see where this is headed when Donald Trump calls Zelensky a dictator.
Well, let me pick up on that because we're talking about where Trump is vulnerable. So he is turning his back on our friends in Ukraine, in Europe, and his entire foreign policy is based on strengthening America's enemies, Putin and Xi and China. You know, at some point, we got to call him out on that. Yeah. And I don't think that's popular. And his own administration is talking out of both sides of its mouth. You got Vance saying one thing, you got the Secretary of State saying another thing. So this is the gang that can't shoot straight.
No, I think we're going to see a lot more of that. I mean, you see it already. To your point, Vance is saying one thing, Rubio at Secretary of State says another thing. Yep. Trump says something altogether. They are not on message, and that's going to be a real problem moving forward. I digress on that. Let me get back to your point, watching my time here. So the idea that you've laid out is not a bad idea, that Democrats need to step up every day with one thought for the day, one point for the day, one theme for the day. Who would that person be? I could argue again, Hakeem Jeffries may be the Democratic leader. Ken Martin is the titular head of the party, is head of the DNC, but I don't think he's the answer to the prayer. You tell me, Robert.
No,
Kuttner.
I think in addition to Hakeem Jeffries, I think some of the other people who are very articulate and who are smart politically, I would nominate Jamie Raskin. I'd nominate Gretchen Whitmer. A lot of people are talking about Pete Buttigieg. Mm-hmm. But, you keep it down to a manageable number of folks who are very good at laying out a strategic message, making it come across like just so much common sense, and maybe you start gaining some yardage back. And I think the bulletin that you just shared with everybody, most Americans are not going to be sympathetic to that.
Yeah.
You can't turn around foreign policy on a dime and suddenly decide that that Zelensky, who is completely devoted to democracy, is a dictator, and what? Putin is a Democrat? I mean, that's just saying up is down and down is up. That's just nuts.
Yeah. The other point you made earlier that I want to come back to right quick here, again, watching our time, is your hope, your belief, your fingers crossed that the courts may save us in this particular moment. Here's my read of that. I think there's some truth to that, Robert Kuttner, but I think it's going to be a mixed bag. I'm talking later in this program today, later on this show, about the decision, as you saw, by Judge Tanya Chutkan. By the way, it just happens to be a black woman judge. This is the judge who was overseeing the cases that Jack Smith, the independent special prosecutor, was in charge of. He had to stand down on those cases, as we all know. But this black judge was pretty good on holding Trump accountable. His team, his legal team, that is. But as you saw, she ruled denying the bid of states to curtail Elon Musk's powers and overreach. And this is Judge Tanya Chutkan now. My sense is that it's going to be a mixed bag in the courts. It depends on what court you're in, but I don't know that across the board, universally, we can hold out hope that the courts are going to save the day for us.
I agree with you. And so far it's been a mixed bag, although I got to say we've won more than we've lost.
Right.
That is, they have told Musk to keep his mitts off the sensitive information in the Treasury. They have told Trump that no, you can't just go fire everybody. And you got the whole question of birthright citizenship. I think they lose that one big time. I think that could be 9-0, or maybe worst case 7-2. And if he loses a few big cases, the ultimate test case is whether he's going to obey the court. And if he says, nope, sorry, I don't have to obey the court, then it's really civil war.
Yeah.
Then it's total tyranny. And then what happens? I don't know. I mean, does the military start saying, well, we're going to obey the court?
Let's talk when we come forward in our remaining moments with Robert Kuttner about what total tyranny looks like. You're listening to Robert Kuttner. I'm glad about it on Tavis Smiley.
This is getting good. Yeah, man. Tavis Smiley continues when we come forward.
Texting privacy policy and terms and conditions posted at textplan.us. Texting enrolls for recurring automated text marketing messages. Message and data rates may apply. Reply stop, opt out. Individual results may vary. Consult a doctor prior to use.
You've lost so much weight. How'd you do it?
I got medical treatment for weight loss through Zelty and lost 50 pounds. I struggled for the longest time, but Zelty makes it easy and affordable to get weight loss treatment 100% online. Zelty providers can prescribe FDA-approved weight loss medications clinically shown to help people lose weight, like Wegovy, Zepbound, and others.
I've heard those medications can help you lose weight, but aren't they expensive?
Zelty can help get the medication covered by insurance, so it's as little as $0 a month.
What if you don't have insurance?
No problem. Zelty may be able to help you get other GLP-1 medications for 80 to 90% off the price of name brand medications.
I'm ready to start losing weight. How do I get started with Zelty?
Just text.
Text SUNNY to 200-300 to get started today with Zelty and see if weight loss medications like Wegovy and Zepbound are right for you. Don't wait. Text now for a link to your exclusive offer. Text SUNNY to 200-300. That's SUNNY to 200-300. SUNNY to 200-300.
If you're like me, 60 and retired, making ends meet, especially here at the supermarket and drugstore, is tough. I'm so blessed to have found benefitscheckup.org. It's a free and confidential website from the National Council on Aging that connected me to $1,200 a year in programs that help pay for food, medicine, utilities, and more. Maybe it can help you. benefitscheckup.org.
You know where you want to go in life, and City National Bank can help. City National knows the dedication it takes to build your vision for the future into a reality, and our team is here for you. We have a wide range of options to help, from personal savings accounts to interest-bearing money market savings accounts and more, all designed to help you get where you want to go. City National, here for every stage of the journey. Learn more at cnb.com. City National Bank is a subsidiary of Royal Bank of Canada, member FDIC.
Let's get back to more of this rich dialogue with Tavis Smiley.
All right, Robert Kuttner, I got 4 minutes left here. Don't laugh at me. But the one thing that could stop total tyranny, don't laugh, is that the GOP, the Republicans, would pull him back. So here's the question. How far, and put another way, how much farther does he have to go before Republicans say you've gone too far and they start to pull him back?
Yeah, I think you had a little bit of that in the very first crazy thing he did. His first week in office, he had the Office of Management and Budget just suspend all federal grants and aid. And even before there was a court injunction against that, he started getting all kinds of pushback from Republican governors, Republican mayors, saying, what are you doing? You're killing us. We need this money. And so on day 2, they pulled back most of that order. It wasn't until day 3 that a federal judge enjoined it. And I think you're seeing, for instance, with the 15% rule for research universities, you can't get more than 15% overhead. You know, there's a lot of research universities in red states, and he's getting pushed back on that. A lot of people in red states depend on Medicaid. So I think it's the pork barrel part of this, right?
Yeah.
It's not the Constitution part of it.
Yeah.
And that saddens me. I wish it were the Constitution.
Nope, that's a powerful point,
I
though.
think,
yeah.
But I think given the fact that the federal government, I read that it's the red states that are much more dependent on federal money than the blue states, which sort of makes sense because the red states tend to be poor. They tend to be more racist.
That's
they
right.
don't spend their own money on helping poor people. They depend on the feds. So here's Trump trying to turn off that spigot, and he's going to get pushback on that.
I want to circle back. I want to circle back to where we started this conversation with that Lincoln quote. In case you were not tuned in, let me give it to you once again. It's a great quote from Abraham Lincoln. Public sentiment is everything. With public sentiment, nothing can fail. Without it, nothing can succeed. Close quote. I guess the question, the exit question, Robert Kuttner, is whether or not public sentiment can, in fact, be swung back, or whether or not Donald Trump gets so far down the road that the damage is irreparable.
Well, there'll be a huge amount of damage, but I think along with the damage comes overreach and comes harming ordinary people, and that could cause a swing back in public sentiment if Democrats and progressives do their job.
Yeah. I get often asked what it is that I read on a regular basis, and I don't often put my reading list out, but let me just suggest to you right now that for many, many years now, the American Prospect has been must-read copy for me. So if you want to know what I read, it's on my list, and I highly recommend, especially over the next 4 years, if you want to retain your sanity, that you might want to put the American Prospect on your reading list. I'm always delighted to be in conversation with the co-founder and the co-editor of the American Prospect. This piece that I want you to find and read for yourself: what happens when democracy so badly fails to deliver the goods that the citizenry freely chooses dictatorship, under the heading "The People, Yes." That's Robert Kuttner's column. I highly recommend it. Robert Kuttner, as always, sir, good to be in dialogue with you. Thank you for your time and your insights.
And thank you for everything you do.
Appreciate you, sir.
Talk to you again soon.
Likewise.
Bye-bye.
Likewise. More of Tavis Smiley when we come forward.
KBLA 1580 Santa Monica.
I'm Bree Wood with 4 Things You Should Know with BIN News. A family plans to sue the FAA and Army after a deadly DC plane, according to a recent Bankrate survey. Over half have more savings than credit card debt, reflecting progress as inflation slows. Postmaster General Louis DeJoy is